My name is Phong Lee. I teach at Niagara University. I've only taught one course using IBL, but it was transformational. And the most memorable story I can think of using IBL was I had two students, one of which was very talkative and the other was very quiet. And I always teased the talkative guy. I knew he could take it, and I said, you know, eventually you'll say the right thing, but it might take you a while. And the quiet student, you know, it took a while for me to kind of get into her head and figure out her process. And I realized she was actually a really good listener. She was trying, she put forth a lot of effort, but she was quiet. And eventually I realized I'm going to pair them together and have this guy say all his stuff, and he's just going to rant and go on, say every idea that's in his head, no filter whatsoever. And I told her, listen, he's going to say the right thing. I know he will eventually. It's your job to find it. And it worked beautifully. He would say things, and she would say, well, what about this? And you said this back there, can you say it again? And they were incredible partners. And you know, sometimes, I mean, he would certainly eventually rely on her as the filter, but she would take his ideas and refine them and present them beautifully, or he would present something and then she would come up and tell him exactly where the real answer is versus all this other stuff. And you know, that's really what I enjoyed about the process. I had very little to do with it. I just said, hey, listen to him. He's saying some good stuff. And I said, hey, answer her questions when he had some. And that's all I really did. And it just worked magically. It was great. And that's kind of the most memorable IBL story I have. It's something that I think about often as I plan my next courses. I would say the one thing for me is reciprocation. Sometimes it's me and a student working together, going back and forth. Sometimes it's finding the right combination of students so where they're going back and forth. You know, I'll say, hey, can you explain it in a way that he will understand, or can you explain it in a way that the whole class will understand? And there's a real back and forth that doesn't happen as much in a more traditional classroom. And you're just providing a system, providing a structure where to let that happen naturally. At the end of the day, it's just people talking and exchanging ideas, and isn't that a big part of what we want in learning and growth? And I guess so reciprocation would be the one thing that I value most using IBL. And equality of effort. They have to put in as much effort as I'm putting in, and when they see that I'm really trying to understand them, when I'm really working hard to wrap my head around their own words, I think they need to know that that's what I'm trying to do, and more often than not, they will rise to that challenge. I'm really trying to help a student out. I'm really trying to refine their words, try to understand their thought process, and they need to recognize that and meet me there. I think most of the students do eventually get there. Sometimes it takes a while, but they get there. Some of my colleagues say, you know, a lot of what you do in math is learn to persevere, and I really believe this. We talk about our mistakes, create an environment where it's safe to talk about every idea, chase down every lead you have. Sometimes they'll work out, sometimes they won't. But learning from mistakes is central to, you know, personal development, and it's central to learning mathematics, definitely.